Happy hump day, everybody. Welcome to the Wednesday edition of Fantasy Football. Today, coming up, a lot of trade talk. Who to buy low on, who to sell high. Are we buying the breakout? I asked the Twitter followers, if you were rewriting your 2019 breakouts column, who would you lead with? And it took like 8 answers before we got Dalvin Cook, which of course is the right answer. I eliminated Lamar Jackson and Austin Eckler from the discussion, so we're going to talk a ton about their trade value. We're going to preview the Thursday night game, and we have a very, very disappointing email, a fantasy regulators email that just makes me sad that we're going to read later on in the show. I am Adam Azer, and of course it's Wednesday, so the Heath is on. What's up, Heath?
Feels like I've been forever since I talked to you. I am very happy to see your face and hear your voice, and I can't wait to spend the next hour with you. I also think you did a really terrible job at our fab last night, but
why?
That's okay.
I
appreciate the fact that you're doing it, and I don't have to do the 19th team, so I'm not even going to complain about it.
I put in too much on Mason Rudolph?
Yeah, you spent a third of our budget on Mason Rudolph. Is he our fourth quarterback?
It's a 2 QB league. Well, it's a super flex league. And we had Ben Roethlisberger and Derek Carr as our backup quarterback. So yeah, I wanted a third guy on the team. So I'm sorry, Heath. I apologize, but yes, you are welcome
I think that was a smart call.
Thank you.
I'm not
by
particularly
the way, Ben,
excited about Mason Rudolph.
I think Ben needs intro music, don't you?
What is this?
How do we feel about this?
This is Ben Folds 5.
No, I know who it is.
I know.
How do we feel about Ben Folds 5 on this podcast? I don't know if we've ever had this discussion.
Whatever. You know.
I am extremely hot and cold on Ben Folds 5. Like, I can either feel like, man, these guys are geniuses, or I would like to punch all of them in the face.
I just don't understand how Ben didn't know Ben Folds 5.
Ben didn't know that?
No, Ben doesn't know
know everything that might have my name related to it.
Yes, and you're supposed to know something about pop culture. Like
the one that everyone has done my whole life is Benny and the Jets. So that's next week. You'll have to cue
all right. Next week.
That would have been much, much better, actually.
That probably would have been. All right, we're gonna reflect at some point soon that this week Cam Newton, Drew Brees, Eli Manning, Ben Roethlisberger. We don't know for sure about Cam, but it's a good chance they're all out. We know 3 of them are going to be out. Kyle Allen, Mason Rudolph, Teddy Bridgewater, and Daniel Jones are in. Now, forget about the Giants situation, but we could just have a lot less offense this week. So we'll get into that in a second. Let's do buy low and sell high. Heath, who's your favorite buy low? And let's give a few names. We'll go one at a time. But first round, Heath, buy low.
So we're doing like multiple favorites. My favorite buy low right now is Michael Thomas. I don't believe that Teddy Bridgewater is going to kill his value. Not at all. We've seen Bridgewater with worse weapons and a worse offense be a basically league average quarterback. He really likes to drop back and dump it off quick. 36% of his targets went to Thomas after he came into the game on Sunday. I still expect Michael Thomas to be a top 5 wide receiver in PPR. If anyone's concerned about his value, I will gladly take him off your plate.
Yeah, Ben, I guess I wonder if we have a situation where both of these guys are just too involved, and unless one of them gets hurt, we basically have 2 flex options. So am I buying low on Royce Freeman, who's not going to be a must-start guy? Are either of these guys going to be must-starts?
Yeah, I think the situation's better. Like I said 2 years ago, Baltimore had 2 backs in a not very good offense, had 2 backs finish in the top 24 end of season in PPR particularly. But it's because of all those targets, 14 targets, 7 to each of them. If one of them gets hurt, there's massive upside. If neither of them does, I think it's a better situation than last year because of the way Flacco likes to target the position so much.
All right, my buy low is still Mike Evans. Not surprised he had a bad game, and it wasn't terrible. 4 catches for 61 yards at Carolina. First game was awful, under 30 yards. Mike Evans did have 2 instances last season where he had back-to-back games with less than 60 yards and no touchdowns. 2 straight bad games. It happened twice last year. He still finished as wide receiver 6 in non-PPR, wide receiver 9 in PPR. And he's got the Giants this week. That's a get-right game. I do see some potentially difficult matchups coming up, like New Orleans and then Carolina again. But he had 2 good games. He had 1 great game and 1 good game against New Orleans last year. So, I'm just going to believe in Mike Evans. I'm going to call him a buy low. Heath, round 2 of buy low.
Oh, I thought we were going to the sell highs now. Crap.
Not yet.
Not yet. Round 2. I'm going to go. This is a snake draft. Obviously a snake draft.
I can jump back in.
I don't have. Yeah, go ahead, Ben. Go ahead.
I want to talk about Miles Sanders a little bit more. I think I talked about him last week on the show. I know I wrote him up in Stealing Signals last week as well, and he wasn't very good this week again, but he started again, and he led the team in snaps again. He didn't lead the team in routes this week. Darren Sproles ran a few more routes, but he still ran a really healthy route percentage for a back in a committee, and he's run more routes through 2 weeks than Sproles. He also got rush attempts inside the 10-yard line on 2 separate drives. He seems to be their preferred back in close. He has 4 of their 5 touches inside the 10-yard line. Their running back touches inside the 10-yard line on the season. I thought Jordan Howard would be that guy, but they're already starting Miles Sanders. They're already using him in close. He had a touchdown called back to a holding penalty where he looked really good in week 1. His production is not there at all yet, but essentially his role to me is no different than a guy like Kerryon Johnson's, where he's going to lose a little bit of work. This is always going to be a committee, but he's a talented back. The production hasn't been there yet, but the opportunity that we want has. He's been starting, he's been getting the in close touches, and he's been running a good amount of routes.
Yeah, the only thing I worry is they've kind of talked a little bit this week about how he's not hitting the holes they want him to, and he's bouncing it outside too much. I hope he doesn't lose touches, but I do still think like he's a good buy low. I've got one now, and it was a guy I was really low on in draft season, but I think now's the time to buy low on Kyler Murray. He's the number 18 quarterback in standard CBS leagues. He's actually been outscored by Gardner Minshew, Marcus Mariota, and Andy Dalton. I would anticipate with the volume they're getting, if you're someone that just lost your starting quarterback, and let's face it, like a third of the league did, it's pretty likely the guy who drafted Kyler Murray also drafted another quarterback. That other quarterback has probably been better than Murray so far. I might try to make an offer for Murray.
I don't think you will get any disagreement from Ben. I know that's another guy that Ben wanted to buy low on, Kyler Murray. He has only 17 rushing yards so far this season, so we haven't seen him use his legs yet, but yeah, they are throwing a ton. They are a fast-paced team, and it's excellent. So the 5 buy lows we gave you are Michael Thomas, Mike Evans, Royce Freeman, Miles Sanders, and Kyler Murray. And I don't know if everybody agrees on all of them, but I think there's general consensus there. I did push back on the Royce Freeman thing a little bit. I would say he's been the arrow's pointing up for him where I thought he was trash. He's not. But, I just kind of philosophically, guys, I don't
real
like,
quick on
yeah.
One more point on Freeman I wanted to mention, because he wasn't good last year. But you got to remember, in college, this guy was an absolute dominant performer. Had over 800 receiving yards at the college level, which is elite performance for a bigger back, and had I believe it was 5,600 rushing yards, 64 touchdowns over 4 seasons. He averaged 16 touchdowns a year. This guy has the potential to be this elite, like size, speed, receiving, do it all back. He has all of that in his repertoire. If something happens to Lindsey, who's a small back, and I don't believe necessarily just because of a one season has shown that he can hold up to the NFL, the rigors of an NFL season. If something happens to him, Royce Freeman will win leagues this year with Joe Flacco throwing that many targets to the running back position.
And as far as how bad he was last year, they've been pretty clear that he was playing most of the season on a high ankle sprain and still broke more tackles on fewer touches than Phillip Lindsay did. Still picked up more yards after contact on fewer touches than Phillip Lindsay did.
That's because nobody touched Phillip Lindsay.
I think there's a pretty good chance Royce Freeman's better running back than Phillip Lindsay.
I think
really good chance.
No. I think it's possible. I think you guys are selling Phillip Lindsay a little bit short. Phillip Lindsay was elite last year. He was amazing last year.
And an underrated prospect in his own right. I agree. He's not bad.
He's just small. All right. Well, listen, I would not recommend starting both of them in FanDuel. I think that would be a really bad idea. But since fantasy football season is in full swing, there are more ways to win money on FanDuel than ever. Every single game, every single week. If you've never played on FanDuel, hey, why don't you sign up? FanDuel.com/FFT. FanDuel.com/FFT. What you do is you make a $20 deposit, and you get an extra $5 in site credit every week for 4 weeks. That's a $20 deposit and a $20 bonus. $5 a week for 4 weeks. I play a $5 50-50 every week. I'm 2-0, so I make that money right there, and then I could use that money in tournaments and whatnot. FanDuel.com/FFT. If you have injuries, if you have crappy teams, don't worry about it. Just go on FanDuel. Get a new lineup every single week. It is a ton of fun. Heath is going to have like over 100 lineups every week. He loves DFS. We all love DFS, some more than others. You can play high stakes. You can play for $1, whatever you want. Go to FanDuel.com/FFT. Make that $20 deposit and get the $5 in site credit every week for 4 weeks. That's at FanDuel.com/FFT or just download the FanDuel app. All right, Heath, I think you're excited about selling high.
Yeah, I'm selling high on the number 1 wide receiver in non-PPR leagues so far this season. It's John Ross. I am impressed that he was able to follow up his week 1 performance with another one. I'm more open to the idea that he might actually be someone you could use maybe as a flex for the remainder of the season. I'm not buying into the level of production that we've gotten so far, and I am more than willing to sell him if somebody thinks that they're going to be able to treat him as a top 24 wide receiver.
Maybe you'll sell him to Ben? Ben, is that John Ross?
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously going to regress from what he's done so far. I don't think that's a bold take.
Yeah,
top 24 rest of the season
with AJ Green coming back.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be the wide receiver 1 at the end of the year. No, I don't think he can
say
that.
No. Do you think he'll be a top 24 wide receiver from this point forward?
Probably not. Yeah,
okay.
I think that's a fair point. If you can get that kind of value, yeah, I think he's probably a sell. But especially with AJ Green coming back, like Adam said.
Like, I would still rather have Tyler Boyd than John Ross. And I think that's a trade you could possibly make.
I would too.
Who are you selling high on, Ben?
I'll do T.Y. Hilton. I mean, anybody who has scored a lot of touchdowns, and Adam, the guy I know that you're about to talk about, would probably be even higher for me. But T.Y. Hilton, 2 touchdowns in week 1, pretty solid game with Jacoby Brissett. I don't think Brissett's going to kill his profile, but Indianapolis has been the run heaviest team through 2 weeks in like neutral situations, early down neutral situations. They're running a ton. They even ran while trailing a lot in week 1. They want to be a ball control offense. They want their good offensive line and their defense to be able to win them games now that they no longer have Andrew Luck. Hilton gets another late touchdown last week to go to 3 touchdowns through 2 weeks. I do think he's going to have his boom games, but I think his volume's going to be pretty inconsistent throughout the year. So he's a guy that if you can get decent return now that he's had 2 solid games, scored 3 touchdowns, I'd sell him.
All right, would you rather have T.Y. Hilton or Tyler Boyd?
Boyd.
I'll take Hilton.
All right, my guy is Derrick Henry, and I just might be a fool all year. I don't know, but I just think in this day and age, a running back who does not catch passes, and he's got 3 catches in 2 games, is a risky running back. So, I think he might be all right on Thursday. We're going to preview that game. He's a top 12 running back in non-PPR for everybody, but certainly in PPR. And it's just the way that people have valued Derrick Henry. Some people taking him in the 2nd round, the 3rd round. Maybe they're right. Maybe I'm wrong. But I know that there are a lot of people, a lot of fantasy players who just love Derrick Henry, and I am not there yet. I am not buying it. So far, a great start, 80 yards and a touchdown in 2 straight games, rushing yards, with a 75-yard touchdown catch, which obviously he's not going to get. Yeah, I'm selling high, and I'm selling really high. Like, if you could get Todd Gurley for Derrick Henry, which you might sit there and go, you crazy? Nobody's doing that. I guarantee some people would. Would you guys take Kerryon Johnson over Derrick Henry?
Yep.
I'm really struggling with, I mostly agree with you, but every week this happens, we get closer to this sample size of him being a stud running back over the last year and a half being bigger or as big as the same. We're still a ways away from that happening. But Kerryon Johnson, I'm not sure that his role is going to be any more valuable than Derrick Henry's is. I kind of almost think that C.J. Anderson getting cut and Ty Johnson being the number 2 is going to be worse for Johnson because
it might be
because Ty Johnson's going to take more of the pass catching work.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'd
rather have Henry, and I actually have Henry ranked ahead of Gurley this week. So
that's fine, but I'd rather have Gurley rest of season. And
that was a good point.
Joe Mixon is the obvious guy to go get. By the way, if you have Derrick Henry, I would give him up for Mixon.
Sure, that's a good one. I just wanted to say, Heath made good points. This is becoming a larger sample. I've always been kind of a Henry hater, but it's the high-value touch stuff that I've talked so much about. He gets none of it. Adam, you mentioned the receptions. They're not there ever. And just so much of his workload is low-value touches. You have to rely on him breaking a long touchdown. And I struggle with it too. But he's right. He's done that a lot. So maybe he's just a huge anomaly, which wouldn't be crazy because look at his like size and speed. He is an anomaly as an athlete. So who knows?
Yeah. No, I'm starting to think I could be wrong on Henry. That's why I'm saying if you're selling high, it should be for someone like Joe Mixon. It should be for someone like Todd Gurley. It should be for someone that you, if you don't like those guys, then fine. But it should be for someone that you think is great. And I think you can get that for Derrick Henry. Guys, we are way behind. So give me each of you one more sell high candidate. And then we'll move on to the big news. We got to talk about Cam Newton and Antonio Brown and all this stuff. And some 2019 breakouts and more. Go ahead, Ben.
Henry was my other one. I'm going to need a quick second. So let's go to Heath.
Yeah, I've got this one ready. I am ready for the sell highs today. I'm going to go with Josh Jacobs. I'm a little bit disturbed by his lack of a role in the passing game, just a 4.8% target share in his first 2 games. This is a team that's going to be playing from behind more often than not. In his next 4 games, Bears, Packers, Colts, Vikings.
If he plays.
Not in that order.
And he's hurt.
And he's kind of hurt. So I'd be selling high on Jacobs.
But what do you make of the fact that none of the running backs are catching passes? Because Jalen Richard and DeAndre Washington have 2 catches each, and Jacobs is 1.
Gruden told Carr repeatedly during the preseason and told reporters that he wanted him to throw downfield and stop dumping the ball off so much.
Okay.
He's throwing the ball downfield.
Ben? I gotta sell high here. God. Carlos Hyde. People are like really excited about Carlos Hyde again. He looked good in a lot more work this week against Jacksonville. He got 20 touches, but also only no targets, 1 green zone touch, wasn't able to punch it in for a touchdown. 19 of those 20 touches were the low value rush attempts that I always harp against. If this is a good situation for Hyde where he dominates the game and he gets 20 carries and he runs for 4.5 yards a carry and he only gets you 9 fantasy points because he catches no passes and doesn't get into the end zone and only gets 90 rushing yards, and that's all you're getting. You're not getting anything else. You're not getting any other, fantasy points from receptions or from receiving yards or anything else. If that's a good game for him, that's not a guy you want. That's exactly the definition of the trap back that we've talked about before. 90 rushing yards, 9 fantasy points. He had a good game in real football. He did not have a good fantasy game.
All right, some things to promote. The iTunes mailbag. We have some of your iTunes questions coming up later in the show. So just go to iTunes or Apple Podcasts, give us a nice 5-star review, and you can ask a question, and we'll read a lot of them on the mailbag show that airs Saturday, but we'll read some today as well. We have our Facebook group, Fantasy Football Today on Facebook. We're giving away T-shirts. If you can see the post, it's pinned. If you can come up with the best team name this week, that's the T-shirt contest. You'll get a T-shirt. Some of the ones that we've highlighted so far: Lamus Wince None. Country Roads Take Mahomes. I was going to sing it, but not feeling it right now. Hot Chub Time Machine. That's always a good one. Saving Matt Ryan. Saving Matt Ryan's funny. I like Saving Matt Ryan. It needs a good avatar. If you think you can do better than that, by all means, go to our Facebook group, leave your funny team name, and we'll pick our favorite ones. And by the way, 85% of them are perverted, so those probably aren't going to win. But you all are sick people. Sick people. And CBS Sports HQ. Well, not only do we have the afternoon show, but we also have a Tuesday night show, Wednesday night show. I have to check the full schedule, but I'll update y'all on that. But CBS Sports HQ, just watch it on your Roku, your Apple TV, your Amazon Fire, CBSSportsHQ.com, wherever you watch. Connect the device, watch HQ, live noon Eastern every day. Fantasy Football Today, the video show, and then you can see replays of that later on. If you were rewriting your 2019 breakout story, who would you lead with? Oh, wait, we have to do the big news. We have to do the big news. I skipped that. Here we go. Cam Newton has a foot injury. He's uncertain for week 3. Kyle Allen could start in his place. Allen did have a very nice game, 28 fantasy points in week 17 against the Saints, who were resting a lot of their offensive starters. Unclear how much they rested their defensive starters. I read the recap today. I know they played some of their studs for like the first half. But regardless, scored a rushing touchdown, 228 passing yards, and 2 touchdowns. Curtis Samuel, DJ Moore both had good games. Tight end Ian Thomas had a good game. Heath, what's the impact here of Cam Newton's foot injury?
It's not good, obviously. This was supposed to be the get-right game against a defense that hasn't stopped anybody yet. I don't know, though, how much I'm going to negatively downgrade the Panthers' weapons if we're talking about a 1-week start for Kyle Allen. He was fine in his only start last year, Did target the right guys. We didn't see him with McCaffrey, but I think that he is good enough to lead this offense against that defense. Specifically, Greg Olsen against Arizona was our favorite waiver wire ad. This Arizona defense has given up the number one tight end performance in non-PPR each of the first 2 weeks of the season. I think DJ Moore will still be fine. Curtis Samuel scored a touchdown with Allen. I'd be a little bit more concerned about him just because of target share, but mostly I'm just okay with the Panthers. What will be really, to me, more interesting is if Cam practices Thursday and then practices Friday with all the injuries we've had at quarterback. Are we sitting Cam Newton against the Arizona Cardinals?
I just don't think he's going to run. I want to see him sit, to be quite honest, as a Cam owner, because he needs to run, and he's not going to run with this damn foot injury. So get healthy, get healthy. And what would you tell the Cam Newton owner right now? Is he a drop?
No, I'm not dropping him. I'm making other plans for this week, but I'm not dropping him.
Yeah, it depends how shallow your league is. If it's a really shallow league where you can't really justify carrying two quarterbacks, I can see it. There's a lot of viable quarterbacks, but I can see dropping him. But in any kind of deeper league, I would want to hold him if I could.
Well, instead of starting Dak Prescott over Cam, I'll just start D.D. Westbrook, right? Antonio Brown, his status is uncertain. He is the most traded player in CBS sports leagues. So we'll look at the most traded list. But Heath, have you ranked Antonio Brown this week? Are you assuming he will play as of right now, Wednesday morning?
Oh, yeah. I'm assuming he will play and ruin the value of the other Patriots. I've got him as my number 24 wide receiver right now. Edelman's at 29 and Josh Gordon's at like 40. I hate this situation. Each week, I'm going to be terribly wrong about one of these wide receivers, and I'm going to be right about two of them. And it's kind of gross, but for now, you assume Brown's playing.
Okay. Jalen Ramsey expected to play on Thursday unless they trade him. Deshaun Jackson will not have surgery for an abdominal strain, but he is out 2 weeks. Alshon Jeffrey, of course, may not play this week. Nelson Aguilar was a big-time priority on the waiver wire. He was the first guy on waivers in some of my leagues last night, maybe the second. Trevor Siemian out for the season with an ankle injury. Sam Darnold said he went in the other room and started screaming into a pillow and punching the pillow as hard as he could when he saw Trevor Siemian got hurt. And that is my move. That is what I do when I am mad at sports. I go upstairs to the bedroom and I beat the crap out of a pillow and
cry.
Yeah.
I can cry. I can absolutely picture you in your room punching a pillow, crying. I assume the pillow has a Heath face on it. This is an image we've all got in our heads.
I just thought Sam Darnold and I have so much in common, but he could be back after the bye. I've never had mono, and neither has Heath. He had a cold for 2 weeks. And all right, that's those are your big news items. If you were rewriting your 2019 breakout story, who would you lead with? You know who I would lead with? I would lead with the SeatGeek app. The SeatGeek app is where you need to go if you want tickets. Do you ever feel like ticketing websites make getting to the event difficult on purpose? It's like they're so big, they just don't even care about the customer experience. But SeatGeek is not like that. SeatGeek cares. SeatGeek, you look at the reviews in the App Store, they have over 50,000 five-star reviews. If you want to save $10 on your first purchase, you go to SeatGeek, you find the event you want, you buy your tickets, and you type in FFT. FFT is the promo code for $10 off. So basically, SeatGeek pulls together millions of tickets from all over the web. You don't have to go to different sources. You go to one source, and SeatGeek brings all the tickets in, rates each deal on a scale of 1 to 10, and displays them on an interactive seat map. And I can tell you that when I search for events, first place I go is SeatGeek. Sometimes I'll search other sites. SeatGeek has the best prices. And I basically just search the site so I can confirm it, so I can tell you SeatGeek is where it's at. That's where you want to go. And every ticket, by the way, every purchase is fully guaranteed. So download that SeatGeek app or go to SeatGeek.com. Use the promo code FFT. Get $10 off your first purchase. That promo code FFT on SeatGeek. All right, guys, are you buying the breakout? Philip says Mark Andrews would lead his breakout column. He has had 2 100-yard games with a touchdown, 8 catches in both games, 16 catches on 17 targets, I believe. And he's at Kansas City this week. Ben, are you buying the Mark Andrews breakout?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he has a very obvious connection with Lamar Jackson, but another concern was that he wouldn't necessarily play the full amount. Well, Jackson's also hitting the other tight ends. We're also seeing Jackson's preference for throwing to the tight end position carry over. Marquise Brown's obviously been great, but we've seen the other tight ends involved as well. So it's not really that big of a concern that Andrews is sharing some routes and some targets because Jackson really likes that position. He's the lead guy there. Definitely buying it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if we think Lamar Jackson's a sell high, is Mark Andrews also a sell high?
I didn't say.
Wait,
that
who thinks Lamar Jackson's
a
a sell high?
You don't think he's a? Everybody thinks Lamar Jackson's a sell high. Well,
No.
everybody on this show has.
We haven't been on this show.
I disagree.
Are you telling me, Heath, that you don't think Lamar Jackson is a sell high?
It depends on what you're talking. Like if you could sell him for a number 1 running back, sure. A number 1 wide receiver, sure. That's it.
Right,
Well-
yeah. If you're getting top 3 quarterback value after 2 weeks, yeah, I don't necessarily play in leagues where the value changes that much, or I don't expect the value to have changed that much. And where I have him, I'm expecting top. I would have him in top 3 rest of season quarterback.
Okay, I have 3 Lamar Jackson trades from our listeners. Okay, the first one is from Stefan. He has Jared Goff. He gave up Lamar Jackson and Raheem Mostert for David Johnson.
Yeah, make that trade.
Yep.
What?
Yeah, okay. The second one is from Matt. He gave up Lamar Jackson, Kerryon Johnson, Allen Robinson, and 15% of his fab. He owns Tom Brady, by the way. He gave up Lamar Jackson, Kerryon Johnson, Allen Robinson, and 15% of his fab. He got Kamara and Thielen.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do that.
Yeah, that's a good trade.
Yeah, of course. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know if
What
that's
do you mean?
like
I don't know if there's going to be a huge difference between Thielen and Robinson.
Don't say that. Please don't say that.
Sure, I agree with that.
Please don't say. What? How can? Come on.
They
Come on. They were 6 rounds apart.
I was more
5 rounds.
concerned by the Vikings' second week passing performance than I was their first week passing performance because I knew, and Ben said this last week, we just saw the floor. They're not going to throw 10 passes in a game again. They probably won't throw fewer than 20 passes in a game. But we saw a game where the Vikings trailed throughout. They were playing from behind throughout, and Kirk Cousins threw 32 passes. If 32 passes is a ceiling, Adam Thielen is in big-time trouble.
That's not his ceiling.
Oh, I think it's pretty. I think it might be pretty close to his
They didn't have the ball
ceiling.
that much.
But
I don't think Adam Thielen's
you can
about
say in his defense is him and Diggs both were. It's such a concentrated passing offense. They both were targeted plenty. They
Right.
had 89% of the team's air yards. They're the only downfield options in town.
Right. So that
They
does help
combined for
the situation.
89%. You don't see 2 players combine for 89% of a team's air yards. That's crazy.
Well, yeah, when they only have 73 air yards, it's the bars are the lower.
Is that all they had? Total?
No, I was just being a smart
oh
aleck.
my God, that could have been true. I don't know.
Okay, so somebody gave up Lamar Jackson and David Montgomery for Saquon Barkley.
Well, okay, yes. But here's what.
So
Okay,
that's what I'm talking about. Like
Right.
these trades are happening.
Okay.
They are happening.
you are
Fine.
talking about though people getting more for Lamar Jackson than we would have told you to give for Patrick Mahomes before the season.
Sure.
Yep.
I know that those trades would not happen in our leagues, but I know that they are happening in a lot of leagues. It's just what
But
happens.
okay, so to clarify, the reason Mark Andrews is not a sell high with Lamar Jackson is because I don't think you can get the number 1 overall running back for Mark Andrews.
Yeah, rank these guys rest of season. Let's go Mark Andrews, Evan Ingram, O.J. Howard.
Ingram, Andrews, Howard.
Yeah, that's tough. It's definitely Ingram first. I might have to take Andrews over Howard too. I'm not completely out on Howard yet though.
All right, 509 Hawks guy. If you were rewriting your 2019 breakout story, who would you lead with? 509 Hawks guy says rookie wide receivers need their own section. So which rookie wide receiver is your favorite?
It's got to be Marquise Brown. He's been so productive. He was the first receiver taken in the draft. And yes, he only played the 14 snaps and ran the 8 routes in week 1. Immediately in week 2, he jumped all the way up to a full slate of snaps and routes and was again the number 1 receiving option for Jackson. It's definitely got to be him in my opinion.
Yeah, I'll say Marquise Brown, but I do think like relative to their current perception, I'm more interested in acquiring Terry McLaurin. and I was totally whiffed on him during the draft process and have loved everything that he's done so far. I do think he has a better chance to dominate targets in Washington than Marquise Brown does, and he doesn't have the same perception right now, even though his production, it hasn't been that much different through 2 weeks. So I'm buying both, but I'd rather buy McLaurin.
You like them better than, obviously, Brown, but DK Metcalf, Deebo Samuel, also in that group.
Metcalf is behind those for me. Yeah.
Yeah, Metcalf's behind too for me, but again, yeah, this guy's not wrong. The rookie wide receiver class has been awesome. All those guys are
terrific. Yeah. Oh, all right. Kenny Golladay from Michael. Kenny Golladay would lead his breakout story, and this is great. I was nervous about Kenny Golladay. So far, Marvin Jones has not been a factor, but 19 targets in 2 games. A little disappointing against Arizona in week 1, 4 catches, 42 yards, but he did score. Huge game against the Chargers, 8 catches, 117 yards, and a touchdown at Philadelphia this week. Do we think Kenny Golladay is truly breaking out? Is he becoming just a true stud?
I don't think this is any different than what we saw in the past. I mean, I think he's a legitimate number 1 receiver. Week 1, they had a ton of extra volume because they played Arizona, who played really fast-paced, and they had an overtime game. And Golladay was way behind Danny Amendola and TJ Hawkinson in terms of production. Week 2, it swung back around. He was the legitimate number 1, had a massive target share, a massive air yard share, had the second highest weighted opportunity rating on the week. But we've seen that type of thing from him before. He's very good. The issue is just the passing volume in the whole offense. Yeah, he's had 2 good games. I don't think his situation has changed much at all from what I expected in preseason.
Well, maybe not from what you expected, but based on where he was drafted, late 4th round, with a lot of respect, but not this type of production. Like, is Kenny Golladay moving ahead of the Vikings wide receivers in your mind?
No.
They have moved behind him for me.
Okay, so you take Golladay over. All right, difference of opinion there. All right, I like it. Would you rather have Kenny Golladay or Robert Woods?
Robert Woods.
Yeah, I'm still going to take Robert Woods.
Okay. Last guy on the breakout list from JW. Yeah, I mean, this one, Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook, if he stays healthy, I mean, he's the top 5 player, right? I mean, you could make the case he's the 5th pick in the draft right now.
Right.
Yeah, and we haven't seen them go away from the run at all, and they're going to keep running the ball a ton. His yards per carry is going to come down a little bit. The 6.5 that he's averaging right now, obviously the 75-yard touchdown last week bumped that up a little bit. But when they do throw more, I still expect him to be involved in the passing game. He's going to be an every down back. I mean, he played even more snaps in week 2 than he did in week 1. They're really leaning on him.
Little added bonus for Dalvin Cook if you get there. His second game against Chicago, which would be his toughest matchup most likely, is week 17. He plays Chicago in week 4 and week 17, so you can avoid the Bears there, which is also great news for Kirk Cousins, right? News and notes. Yeah, the Chargers signed Lance Kendrick, and they lost Adrian Phillips for the season. So that's two safeties gone for the Chargers. That's a big deal. Patriots left tackle Isaiah Wynn out on
injury
IR.
every week.
Yeah, and it's
how do the Chargers have a season-ending injury every week?
Every week of every season.
Yeah, it's just like I didn't even hear about this one.
Them and the Jaguars. Yeah, Adrian Phillips out for the year. It's tough. Isaiah Wynn on IR. So that's 2 Patriots offensive linemen, a left tackle and a center on IR. Does this matter at all, Heath? For the Patriots?
I don't think it does this week. It could be a problem against good teams if Wynn doesn't get back before they play one.
True. Denver cut C.J. Anderson, signed Paul Perkins. Ty Johnson could be the backup. You could look at him maybe in PPR leagues. And we already heard from Ben and Heath. This could hurt Kerryon Johnson because Ty Johnson's more suited than C.J. Anderson to catch passes. Dallas safety Xavier Woods is out 4 to 6 weeks. Minka Fitzpatrick's going to play safety for Pittsburgh. Freddie Kitchens says Baker Mayfield is taking too many hits. Maybe he needs to get the ball out a little bit earlier. Maybe we need Jarvis Landry to run some shorter routes, Ben. I know that's something you want to talk about. We'll try to get to that segment in a bit. But right now, let's talk about the Jaguars hosting the Titans on Thursday Night Football. This should be an easy game to preview. Which running back do you like better? Which DST do you like better? Let's start with the running backs. Heath, Leonard Fournette or Derrick Henry?
These guys are really, really close for me this week. I'm not even sure who has a more difficult matchup. I love the fact that Fournette has been used so much in the passing game. I do definitely prefer him in any format where you're getting points for catches. Half PPR, full PPR, quarter PPR, double PPR. It doesn't matter. I will take Leonard Fournette in that format because I don't know that Derrick Henry is even going to catch a pass. But if you're talking non-PPR, I might just take Henry because I think he might have a little more production on the ground and just a little bit more likely to score a touchdown than Fournette is.
So Heath has Fournette, around 12th, and Dave and Jamie have him 17th, 18th in non-PPR, and 16th in PPR for Jamie, 14th for Dave. Ben, do you think Fournette might be something less than a must-start guy? I mean, look, he's top 20. I get that. But do you see a reason to maybe get away from Fournette?
No, I would play him. I mean, they're at home. I think Heath hit it on the head. Fournette is playing way too many snaps for you to sit him. He played, I think, over 90% of the snaps last week. Didn't have a great rushing game again, and maybe won't, as long as Gardner Minshew's in there, be very efficient on the ground, but he's going to get targets if they trail, especially. He got 3 in the fourth quarter when they were in comeback mode on Sunday. 4 targets, 3 catches in the fourth quarter, ended up with 4 catches for 40 yards, especially in PPR. If he had 12.5 points, I believe it was, in PPR. That was like a floor game. He ran for like 3.5 yards a carry and got some targets late. He's involved in every facet of the game. He's a guy that I think you have to play.
All right, we'll start at like Austin Eckler over them. I'm trying to think of guys who were drafted later.
Yeah, you're starting Austin Eckler over him.
Okay. Yeah.
I'd start Carson over him.
Chris Carson. Okay. Over Fournette or over both?
I would not. Carson lost snaps and lost 2 fumbles and lost quite a few snaps because of it. And I'm a little bit concerned that that's going to cost him some more snaps going forward.
Okay. So let's go to the wide receivers, and then we'll do the DSTs and Delaney Walker. But you've got D.D. Westbrook, who's 83% owned, DJ Chark, 42%, Chris Conley, 4%. So far, Tennessee's been pretty good against wide receivers. Beckham had 7 for 71. Landry had 4 for 67. T.Y. Hilton had 4 for 43 and a touchdown. So would you start any wide receivers in this game?
I don't want to.
Okay. Yeah, I don't really either. I don't really want to either. I think you could play
Nelson
Westbrook.
Aguilar. Like Nelson Aguilar would be better than all of them?
Yeah, but Nelson Aguilar is going to be really good.
Yeah.
How about both of the Chiefs waiver wire wide receivers? Hardman and Robinson.
I would not.
I would.
I don't like, that's not going to happen very often at all. The more likely situation is that one of them
happens every week Patrick Mahomes plays.
No, it doesn't. Like, Sammy Watkins and Travis Kelce are going to score touchdowns this week. The far more likely situation is that one of Robinson or Hardman is not going to score 4 fantasy points this week.
They do have huge ceilings. I agree with that. Patrick Mahomes set a career high in air yards last week. I agree with you. That's not going to happen every week. He was chucking the ball around even more than usual.
Oh, since the beginning of last year, they've not been near as aggressive at home. Now, maybe that will change in their first home game, but they have been far more aggressive. Mahomes has like 10 straight games on the road with 3 touchdown passes. He had a game last year at home where he didn't even throw a touchdown pass. So I'm not as excited about Hardman and Robinson as everyone else was. I think I got one of them on the waiver wire this week. I think they're going to be frustrating to know when to start.
Would you start Matt Breida over any wide receiver in this Tennessee-Jacksonville game?
Over any wide receiver? Yeah, I don't know that I would play any of these receivers over Matt Breida. Yeah.
In non-PPR, I would certainly start Matt Breida over all of the wide receivers. I'm trying to look. In PPR, it might be relatively close. Yeah, I'd rather start D.D. Westbrook than I would Breida in PPR. I made a tweet about this that was half a joke and half a nod to Ben and half serious about Matt Breida's usage because it was kind of a conflict between Matt Breida and the trap concept. Breida's touches were not the type of touches that Ben prefers, and I think Ben's right about that.
I'm not sure I'm getting anything out of that game, though, because it was a blowout, and then Jeff Wilson got those high-value touches, but they were in like a 20-something point game in the fourth quarter.
No.
Yes.
His first high-value touches, 2 red zone carries, came before the game was a blowout. His second one came with like 14 minutes left in the game, I believe, when it was a 17-point game.
Okay, that's a blowout. He got 9 of his 10 carries in the fourth quarter. He got the other one with the last play of the third quarter, or maybe there was one earlier than that for Jeff Wilson. But pretty much all
his earlier touchdown came right after that highlight Matt Breida run where Breida looked like he was going to get tackled in the backfield, made a ton of ridiculous cutbacks and gained like 34 yards, and then he needed a breather. So I don't know if I'm reading that much into that.
He had 2 first-half carries inside the 10-yard line.
Which Ben just told you about.
Okay. He had another carry in the third quarter that was in the red zone. He had another carry in the first play of the fourth quarter in the red zone.
It's one game. It's one game. I think the score has something to do with it. All right. So anyway, Frank Gore. Okay, let's finish up on this. I hate this game. This game sucks. Frank Gore or a wide receiver in this game?
All the wide receiver. I will never play a 36-year-old running back. I refuse to.
And I played Adrian Peterson in DFS last week. I'm going to play a little bit of Frank Gore this week. It's the year of the old guy. Tom Brady's going to be a top 3 quarterback. Larry Fitzgerald's going to be a top 10 wide receiver again. You got to stop hating on the old guys. In PPR, I'd rather play any of the receivers. In non-PPR, I'd rather play Frank Gore.
That's contingent on Singletary being out.
He didn't need Singletary to be out last week.
I'm asking.
No.
Okay.
So my issue with Gore,
Delaney Walker. Well, I'm sorry, Ben. Just trust me. We don't want to get into this. Delaney Walker, 7th for Jamie, 7th for Heath, 10th for Dave. You've got Mark Andrews and Darren Waller over Delaney Walker, but you've got him over Greg Olsen. So that's interesting. And TJ Hawkinson. And we'll just wrap with that, and then the DSTs, I'll give the rankings. Quick thoughts on Delaney Walker?
It's fine. Start him.
Yeah.
There's not much to say.
Is awful. Like the Titans are a low volume pass offense with a ton of options. AJ Brown is legit. Corey Davis is still there. They designed short targets and a run play for Adam Humphries last week to try to get him more involved. Delaney Walker is the one you can trust the most for 2 reasons. 1, he's probably going to be the best, and 2, he plays tight end, so he's a little bit more valuable in fantasy, but I don't want any players on that offense or in that passing game. I don't want any players in the Jacksonville passing game. This game has like a 39 over-under, and I expect it to go under. I mean, I think this is going to be a really gross game. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. And I think you could look at the Packers maybe. Not for Heath. Are you very low on the Packers DST, or am I just not seeing them? You need to move the Packers up. They're 22nd. You got to move them up.
Yeah, I'm not that interested
so far. They're facing the Broncos. Okay. Well, these DSTs are both top 12, Titans and Jaguars. But, like the Bills, maybe you would pick them up. Dave and Jamie have the Packers ahead of the Jaguars. Whatever. You can look at the rankings.
Well, I don't mind is these are.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't see any reason to get worried about the defenses if we don't want to play anybody on the offenses.
Yeah, Jacksonville's DST hasn't really been that good.
But they're at home on a short week. This is the dream setup for defenses.
I don't think they forced a turnover yet. Tennessee has been good so far. 8 sacks, 4 picks in 2 games. Okay, we're done. That game is over. We are not talking about that game anymore. Instead, let's regulate. All right, here we go. From Bill. We started a Dynasty League using a new platform, and our typical score setting and our typical score settings and standard in just about every league is -2 points for a fumble lost. However, the app that we use, the default scoring is -3 points for a fumble lost. In Monday Night Football last night, or Monday night, between the Jets and the Browns, Le'Veon Bell fumbled in the final moments of the game, which caused me to go down by less than a point. I noticed that I lost -3 for the fumble instead of -2. The scoring settings were supposed to be just -2 for a fumble. So I messaged the commissioner, and he changed the score settings right away during the Monday Night Football game. This resulted in me then winning by less than a point. Obviously, the other manager realized the scoring was changed during the game, and now a few people in the league are in uproar over the scoring change. I believe that the rule change should be in effect, and I should get the W. And the updated league scoring should retroactively apply to week 1 as well, which actually does not affect any outcomes in week 1. The only other option I can come up with is that the original score setting of -2 overall, or no, -1 for fumbles. Okay, sorry. Some people I confused everyone. Forget about the other option. Basically, should they retroactively change week 2 because the scoring setting was not what they thought it was? It was -3 for fumbles instead of -2. They had been under the assumption that it was -2. This affects the outcome of a game. Ben, regulate.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you change platforms and you already had all of your settings that you were doing for several years and you didn't necessarily go through with a fine-tooth comb and do a full audit on your scoring system and make sure that everything was exactly right, but there was never any discussion of changing something as weird as a fumble lost to be worth more, or I guess worth less, worth more against you than before, then yeah, I think this is totally fine. It was just a mistake, a situation that comes up. I don't think you should be expected to notice this change, and I don't think just because a different platform had different default settings that you should be expected to change your rules to fit them when that wasn't the intention. So I think this is really obvious. You should change it.
Yeah, Ben is correct, but his interpretation of the issue is incorrect. And so, Exhibit A, we start the email with, "We started a dynasty league using a new platform." This is not, by understanding, a situation where they have had a league going on, had scoring settings, and then went to and moved it to a different platform. They started a dynasty league using a new platform.
They thought it was -2.
They thought it was -2. I don't care what you thought it was. There was never any, and I could be wrong about this, but assuming that my presumption that there was never any sort of communication sent from the commissioner saying it is -2 for a fumble lost, and just everyone in the league had it in their head that it was -2. What if some guys thought it was -1? How would they have ever known? They probably went to the rule page and looked to see how much it was, and they saw it was -3. It may have been the reason they didn't draft Lamar Jackson, because they were worried about him fumbling too much. You started a league. These are the rules. You can't change the rules in the middle of the week because you don't like the rules that your stupid commissioner set up, and your commissioner should be fined for this action.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I was incorrect. And
right. You're not agreeing with him on anything.
What's that? No, yeah, you said I was correct, but you're actually saying I'm incorrect.
No, I agree with you had your interpretation of the question been correct, but it was not.
And I agree with you and your interpretation as well. That's pretty good regulating right there.
So you think that the results stand, that Le'Veon Bell loses 3 points for the fumble?
The results stand.
They're never a new league, and this was never discussed. He's absolutely right. Someone might have went in and looked at the settings. I read this as they already had a league and everyone knew what the scoring was. If this is a brand new league,
okay,
these are the rules.
There you go. It's been regulated. Sorry about that. I thought for sure. I thought for sure that we were going to get an overturn there, but we most certainly did not. All right. Look at my face on YouTube, youtube.com/fantasyfootballtoday. I desperately need a shave, okay? And I'm going to use, and this is the truth, Harry's razors. I have a Harry's razor, and it really, truly is the best blade I've used. It's just better, okay? I'm not going to get into, it's just amazing shave experience. Like, you're shaving, okay? It's just a better shave. It's a closer, more comfortable shave. There's nothing fancy about it. It doesn't have, like, glider balls and all these crazy things that all these razors come out with now. That's why I'm not going to talk about it like that. It's a razor with a really sharp blade. It's simple, and it works. And it shaves my crazy face. I usually have a 5 o'clock shadow right after I shave, but when I started using Harry's razors, it's not like that anymore. You can see the results tonight, by the way, on HQ when I shave to actually go on, a real video show. So Harry's has quality, durable blades at a fair price, $2 per blade. That's the other great thing about Harry's. It will save you a ton of money. So we've got a great offer for you. We've got this trial set, harrys.com/FFT. You go to harrys.com/FFT. You get a weighted ergonomic handle for a firm grip, a 5-blade razor with a lubricating strip and trimmer blade, rich lathering shave gel, smells great, with aloe to keep your skin hydrated, and a travel blade cover to keep your razor dry and easy on the go. It's a terrific package. I've bought it for people before, for Father's Day, for things like that. Go to harrys.com/FFT. Just get a better shave. It's terrific. harrys.com/FFT to start shaving better today. That is going to do it for the video portion of Fantasy Football Today. You can see it at youtube.com/fantasyfootballtoday. Please check it out. We've got your iTunes reviews, your emails, your tweets. Look at the most traded list and some more regulation coming right up.